بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We continue in our series of biographies of the Imams of the Qur'an, those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed to preserve His word so that we're all able to enjoy and take pleasure from the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we move on to Imam number 6. Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt. Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt. Imam number 5 was Asim. He was from Kufa. Kufa being a city in southern Iraq. And Kufa for a period of time became the center of the Muslim state. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu arda, he transfers the caliphate, the leadership to Kufa in southern Iraq. And there in Kufa, again, many cities of Islam, you have large numbers of companions. Amongst them, the great Imam of the Qur'an from the companions, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiallahu anhu arda. And one of the things that we see, out of the 10 Imams who transmit the Qur'an, the majority are from Kufa. There's 10 Imams of Qur'an, 4 out of 10, they're from Kufa. We mentioned Asim in the last clip. Now we have Hamza, and then we're going to come across Al-Kisai, and then after that Al-Khalaf Al-Ashir, 4 out of 10. So there's something about Kufa, southern Iraq, in terms of Qur'an, and perhaps the secret of that is Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, because Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu himself said, the students of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud are the candles that light the city of Kufa. He said the students of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud are the candles that light the city of Kufa. There's even a discussion amongst the scholars of the Qur'an as to whose reading the Qur'an is most closely related or resembles most closely that of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Because one thing that the Prophet ﷺ said, particularly about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the meaning of the statement, whoever wants to hear the Qur'an as though it's just been revealed, you should listen to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So which of the 4 resembles Abdullah ibn Mas'ud? And it's said to be Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt, who was born in the year 80 after Hijrah, dies in the year 156 after Hijrah. And he takes over the role and responsibility of being the main teacher of Qur'an in Kufa after the passing of Asim. So Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt, as we mentioned, he was born in the year 80 after Hijrah. He meets some of the companions, but he doesn't read upon them, or it's not clearly, and he doesn't read upon them, but he does meet some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So he's from the Tabi'een, from the 2nd generation. It is reported that Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt, he reads the Qur'an to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. And Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is from the line of Ahl al-Bayt, the family of the Prophet ﷺ. And just to comment upon that, one thing unique, the way of Ahl Sunnah, the orthodox mainstream Muslims, they are the only ones in this ummah who have preserved the Qur'an. The preservation of the Qur'an and keeping the Qur'an intact and available to all has come through the Imams of the orthodox mainstream way. Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt was renowned for 2 things. He was renowned for his brilliance in terms of the Qur'an as well as inheritance. He mastered and excelled in the subject of inheritance, such that there's an inheritance legal case that's known as al-Hamziyyah. It's named after him. And Abu Hanifa, the great Imam of Sharia, who's contemporary, he's there moving in Kufa at the same time as Hamza. He says to Hamza, Abu Hanifa says to Hamza, شيئان غلبتنا فيهما لا ننازعك في واحد منهما. So there's 2 things. Abu Hanifa says to Hamza, there's 2 things that you have outstripped us in. We can't compete with you within it. Al-Qur'an wal-Fara'id. Qur'an and inheritance. And just a little note here. Hamza masters Qur'an and inheritance. Anybody who has a relationship with the Qur'an must know inheritance. He must know inheritance. Such that the great companion Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu arda, he said, مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن ولا يحسن الفرائض كاليدين بلا رأس. The great companion Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu said, the likeness of a person who masters the Qur'an but does not know inheritance is like two hands without a head. It's like two hands without a head. Qur'an and inheritance, they go together, they are inseparable. Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt, the great teacher of the Qur'an, was referred to by his own Shaykh al-A'mash, who sees him coming towards him one occasion by saying, هذا حبر القرآن. His Shaykh al-A'mash says, this is the scholar of the Qur'an. Another day he sees his students Hamza coming to him, and he sees him and he just recites the words, وَبَشِّرِ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Give good news to those who do good and excel. But what was so special about Hamza, which was there with all of them, he refused to take absolutely anything, no form whatsoever, payments for the Qur'an. He teaches a wealthy person over the space of 1 year, the entire Qur'an. That wealthy person sends his son with a large amount of money as a gift. And in terms of law, there's no prohibition whatsoever in accepting that. When the son comes to him with this gift, Hamza, he says to him, أنا لا آخذ أجرا على القرآن أرجو بذلك الفردوس. So I never take a payment for the Qur'an. I hope for al-Firdaus because of that. And he's telling them, I'm teaching Qur'an for Jannah. The reason why I'm teaching Qur'an is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places me in Jannah. I don't want any payment from anybody in this world. It's even reported, one day Hamza is walking in the street and it's roasting hot. It's so hot. So some water was offered to him. He refuses to drink it. He says, when he's asked why not, he said, the person who just gave me that water, he said, I used to teach him Qur'an. He refused to accept even a sip of water from a student that he taught Qur'an. He dies in the year 156 after Hijrah, as we mentioned earlier. His main two transmitters, their names are Khalaf al-Ashir, who, as we'll see later, he's a transmitter from Hamza, but he has his own transmission of the Qur'an, and Khalad ibn Khalid. These are the two main transmitters of the Qur'an from Hamza ibn Ḥabīb al-Zayyāt. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.